Good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday afternoon, May 4th. You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. We have a remarkable weather pattern change that's going to be taking place over the next few days. We're going from one extreme to the next extreme, and it's music to the ears as to what's going to be happening next week. Literally music. Could you even hear it during Sphira? To those that love hot summer weather, those that perhaps come from places like St. Louis, they're going to love this one. A lot of people don't like the heat and humidity. But what we have coming, those that are sick of the cold weather already, we have an actual heat wave that's moving into the Midwest and will be affecting Chicago. A real summertime heat wave, according to some computer models. It's not just the temperatures are going to become hot just because there's some storm system coming our way and winds are going to become southerly and the sun is going to heat things up. It's not that. We have an actual heat dome that will become stationary from Monday through Wednesday at least. The lower end forecast temperatures, the lower end are mid to upper 80s by Tuesday and Wednesday, but at the higher end, temperatures may very well be well in the 90s. This is July level heat, and considering that the hottest summer on record here in Chicago in terms of the average temperature was the year 2020. That was the warmest average temperature on record. The hottest temperature that entire summer was only 94 degrees. So that gives you some idea of Chicago's summers. It's difficult to get temperatures in the 90s. Apparently, it's hard to get past 94 degrees. But we have right now forecasts call for highs in the 80s for this heat wave, Monday through Wednesday. It could very well extend past Wednesday. This is a dome of heat. It's a blocking pattern, the exact opposite of what we have this week, which is a progressive pattern, constant pieces of energy, constant low pressure systems. This week has been absolutely phenomenally the opposite of what we're going to be having next week. There's been severe thunderstorm risks, severe weather risks almost every day, at least every other day this week. The plains are feeling it the worst. Today we have two fronts, which will be severe weather situated along those two fronts. We have tornado watches in effect already for places in Amarillo, Texas. That's the southern high plains areas around there. They're probably in the highest risk category for severe weather. They're expecting baseball-size hail over many places in the plains today. Now, we have this severe weather, but especially excessive rainfall developing along a warm front, which is situated from a storm system out in the plains. But the real severe weather, the tornado risk, comes on that dry line. The dry line, the excessive rainfall risk, that's by the warm front. The severe weather risk is both by the warm front and by the dry line. But the tornado risk, I think, is a little bit higher by the dry line than the warm front. This storm system then moves east. It spreads its precipitation into the Chicago area. We're on the cold side of the system, it seems like, but rain will overspread the area nonetheless. There are some uncertainties in regards to when the rain will come, how widespread the rain will be, because there's still some development taking place today. It has not fully developed yet. There's some convective development that might be developing this evening, and that's going to affect the rainfall, the arrival of the rainfall, the intensity of the rainfall, and the widespread, how widespread it is here in the Chicago area. So forecasts are not certain yet. It's kind of like as if we were getting snow and how the slightest change could change those snowfall accumulations. But in this case, it's rain. We are on the north side of the system. This low pressure system then moves to the East Coast. Basically, it's really the south central states tomorrow. They're going to be in the severe weather risk. Places like northern Louisiana, Arkansas, eastern Texas, and Arkansas. Yeah, Arkansas, we mentioned that. Those are going to be the places in the severe weather risk for tomorrow, Thursday. And then the severe weather risk moves to the southeast part of the United States. Usually that means places like Georgia, probably the Carolinas. We need to see where Baltimore is in regards to that. The severe weather risk gets less when you hit the southeast part of this country. By the time it hits the southeast part of the country, it gets less. Now, usually it's most intense by the plains because of that dry line. It happens to be new studies have shown that Tornado Alley has moved east, but it still covers Oklahoma. No matter, you can't get Oklahoma out of it. It's just moving east, and it now does cover Memphis, Tennessee. Just south of St. Louis as well, Cape Girardeau, Missouri. That's the Tornado Alley. That's where the storm systems tend to reach their peak in terms of the severe weather risk. Oklahoma, those places. But by the southeast United States, things are not set up in the same way to produce severe weather. The severe weather risk is less, but the severe weather risk is so high today. It's at a 4 out of 5, almost the highest you can possibly get. For a small area like Wichita Falls, Texas, that area, and again, we have a tornado watch in effect for those places, especially Amarillo, Texas. The excessive rainfall risk is a 3 out of 4, also almost the highest you can possibly get. The National Weather Service is expecting a widespread 3 to 5 inches for parts of the Ozarks in southwest Missouri, southeast Kansas, up into northeast Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas. Isolated spots of 6 to 9 inches of rain. Can you imagine that? Falling as snow, 90 inches of snow. That's if it was a 10 to 1 snow to water ratio. Tom Skilling says in Chicago, on average, it's 12 to 1, so that would even be more than 90 inches. That's already 108 inches, I think. Imagine that. 6 to 9 inches of rain in some areas. The Chicago area might see some thunder. So this is storm system after storm system after storm system. Sunday, Monday, severe weather. I think Tuesday there was no severe weather risk. But Wednesday, today, severe weather risk. Tomorrow, a severe weather risk. Severe weather risk returns for Shabbos for Saturday, and especially Sunday. And then Monday and Tuesday, there's questions. There's questions right now as to what the severe weather risk will be. But immediately on the heels of this progressive weather pattern, active all the way, comes a heat wave, which is a permanent, it feels almost like a permanent air mass just stuck. It's going to just get stuck over the area. It's called a Rex Blocks, I believe. That's the name of the weather pattern. It's a blocking weather pattern. Systems don't move. They move around this high pressure. They don't move into our area, and we're going to see a buildup of heat and humidity. You can barely believe, it's barely believable what is being said when it comes to the dew points. I don't think anyone's taking it seriously. Dew points in the 70s here in Chicago. That's according to some computer models. It doesn't seem like most of the forecasters or any of them are really going according to those dew points in the 70s. And I'll tell you, because you look at these forecasts with overnight lows in the 60s, you can't have overnight lows in the 60s if the dew points are in the 70s. The only way that could happen is if a lake breeze develops, which the National Weather Service says for here in Chicago, it's a good possibility on Monday and Wednesday. But even then, the lake breeze only takes over during the hottest parts of the day, then the lake breeze goes away. So if dew points are in the 70s, we're not going to be seeing overnight lows in the 60s. I think an investigation, further research, needs to be done in regards to where's this 70-degree dew point coming from? Why is this in the forecast? Just a week ago, we couldn't even get the Gulf Coast states anywhere near 70 except for Texas, and that was just upper 60s. You had to go to Key West, Florida a couple weeks ago to experience 70-degree dew points, and now you have a model bringing it all the way up, even into the Chicago area. That needs an investigation, and what also needs further research is why is this happening? What's going on? Why is this pattern developing? And with that, we'll be able to determine what's going to happen after that. Because I'll tell you, this comes from the chief meteorologist, Dave Murray, KTVI in St. Louis, Missouri. He lives in Hawaii now. He's retired. But he said the May 11th is the blackberry winter. Every year on May 11th, around May 11th, there's a very cold air mass that comes into the Midwest. And that's the final cold air mass of the season, unless you live in Chicago next to Lake Michigan. That's the final cold air mass of the season, and it causes the blackberries, I guess, to blossom. So think about it. Today's May 4th. Monday through Wednesday is the period of unseasonable heat. I don't know what's happening after Wednesday. So let's say this year What's going to happen? Are we getting a blackberry in winter this year? What's going to happen then? After Wednesday, are we going to be getting that cold Canadian front that comes in every year right around May 11th? If so, we're going to go from one extreme to the next. Right now, the extremes over here are the weather patterns. We're going from a very active weather pattern. In fact, one of the meteorologists said this is an insane, quote unquote, an insane pattern. What's going on this week is insane. And the last time I heard a meteorologist say that was back by the Pacific Northwest Heatwave back in June, which they say happens once every 4,476 years. I think that's what it was. So that's when you start to use the terminology insane. That was the last time I heard it used by a professional. And this weather pattern this past week where you have severe weather at least every other day or even every day for places out in the plains. And then next week, it's just the opposite. Nothing. Total nothingness. Here in the Midwest, nothing's, just a air mass just remains in place. What's going on in India? You have the air shovel, right? You have going on in India right now. We have just unbelievable stuff. Temperatures are hitting 50 degrees Celsius. That's 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Surface temperatures are above 100, and surface temperatures are 143, not the air temperatures. Thank you for listening. I wish everybody a good day.